Hello and welcome to this Making Flexible Working Work workshop. Today I'm delighted to have with me Natalie Moore from Be More Wellness Coaching. And today Natalie is joining us and we're going to have a great conversation, Natalie, and you're going to share with everyone about how we can be our best self and how flexibility leans into that. Thank you for joining us today, Natalie.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. You've got me at a good time talking about a topic I love. So yeah, thrilled to be here.
And I know, yeah, you are very passionate. We've just been speaking a little bit offline about where you've built this business, and I suppose your passion for helping others be their best self. Be great if you could share with everyone listening today where this all began.
Well, it really began because I was returned to work post-maternity leave, actually, and returned to a job where I was really struggling with the mum juggle and the inflexibility of just rushing around everywhere. And so I remember thinking, there's got to be something else out there for me. There's got to be something more to life than just this constant juggle and this stress. And so I tapped into my passion of running, actually, and originally started an e-commerce business in trying to help people get into running and look after their health and get active and eat better. But then I started having conversations with people, and they were asking me how I was doing all of this and how I was making this change in my life. And then I discovered coaching, and as they say, the rest is history. I went on and studied, and 2 years down the track, here I am, still spruiking my message.
Beautiful, I love it. And so how long ago was this? When did it begin for you?
So this was 2016, start of 2016. I just turned 33, and I said to myself at the start of the year, so my birthday's in December, so by the end of the year I'm going to be in a new career. And lo and behold, I was running a side hustle whilst working at the same time. But I made that escape from the corporate job January last year, so nearly 2 years out on my own.
Wow, congratulations. You're very brave.
Yeah, thank you.
And sometimes it is about that, isn't it? It's about having that vision. And we often don't give ourselves permission. I found myself to say, where do I want to be in a year? What do I want to be working on? What career do I want? What do I want my body? How do I want it to perform? What do I want my health and wellness to look like? And so I'm really excited today for you to take us through your part of your program. So thank you.
Yeah, fabulous. So one thing I always start with whenever I'm running a program or I'm doing a workshop or I'm speaking is I talk to people about getting them to reflect on where they are in the moment. And this is an exercise that I love. I've learnt this quite a bit through a lot of my study and own research. And I do this myself every Friday at the end of the week, particularly as a small business owner. We can get caught up in the stress of trying to create something, but this also very much relates to anybody. And I do this exercise with my daughter. She's only 5, so we do it in a roundabout way, but we still have the concept there. And so what we do is we kick off by looking at what is going well for you. And so we always start off with the positive first, because that can really set us up and the tone and our energy levels. And we look at what's gone well, what even if it's something that's so small, but what can we pick out of the day or pick out of the week that's gone well for us?
It's that attitude of gratitude, isn't it?
It is, yeah, definitely. And the second question there, which is what are you struggling with? Our brain has a negative bias in that any opportunity we can reflect on the tough things or the negative things in life, we will always gravitate to there. And so the second question isn't about focusing on the things that we're struggling with, but it's also just calling them out. Because life ebbs and flows, our well-being ebbs and flows, and well-being isn't about being in a positive frame of mind 24/7. But in calling that out, what it does, it starts to bring our attention to something that perhaps we are struggling with, or a situation or problem that we're facing.
Right. And this is actually also very applicable, isn't it? So it's applicable in, your whole life. It's applicable in parts of your life. So, if you're thinking about flexible work, for instance. You could say what's going well, what are you struggling with? Or it could be around your journey, like we were talking about training for marathons. So this is a really good tool. It's really simple, and you can use it across many different aspects of your life.
Yeah, totally. And, when I'm coaching clients, we might look at it from a whole life perspective, or we might just hone in on a particular area. And as I said, it brings out the things that are going well, what we're struggling with. And what that then brings us to is the third question is, what support or learning do you need? And essentially what that question is doing is taking the thing that you are struggling with and turning it into a learning or a growth or an opportunity frame of mind. Rather than being stuck in what we are struggling with, we could look at, okay, well, what do I need? What do I need to try and overcome this obstacle or this thinking? And it might not be a matter of, completely upheaving your life. It might be a simple thing that I need to reach out to someone and have a conversation, or I need to send an email. And it just, it's opening the opportunities and helping you overcome the barriers that you're perhaps going through.
And have you seen this in practice? Like, do you have an example or a case study that you can share with how this has really helped someone? And I'll put you on the spot there. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Look, as I said, I do this every Friday for me, and I actually do a video on this and share it through my LinkedIn feed. And if I guess, share my own personal experience, a couple of weeks ago, I was feeling in a really sort of lull, energy low state, and training for a marathon at the moment, and that can wreak havoc with your mindset, and particularly whilst working and family and everything. When I did this exercise on the Friday, it really just, again, opened my eyes to, what, I'm well. What's going well for me is that I have got the ability to train for a marathon. I have got the flexibility in my life to go and do parent helper at my daughter's kinder. But then also I realized, okay, what am I struggling with? It's my energy levels at the moment, and I'm feeling fatigued. And so the biggest thing that I need in that moment was to just stop and take a day off and not do anything and just recharge. And well, that's a very simple sort of example. It's something that really did help me and was quite a turning point for me a couple of weeks ago when I was feeling, in that very sort of low energy lull.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
That's all right.
So being your best self, what do you mean by when you say your best self?
Yeah, and it's funny, when I first started introducing this concept, and I think when you make a career change like what I did, I was national account manager in a packaging company, so very, industrial, and was in there for 10 years. And all of a sudden I've gone into coaching and I start talking about this concept of be your best self. And I had friends and family look at me with glazed eyes thinking, what are you on about? And it can really mean different things. And I've got there as the last point there is, you need to define what being your best self looks like. And I think, as humans and individuals, we all have this vision or this desire about how we want to live our life, how we want to show up, the sort of parent, the sort of worker, woman, man that we want to be. And it's really just coming back to yourself. So it's reconnecting with you. So, what is most important to you? Knowing your values, a big turning point for me in the company that I was in, I was part of a project where I was establishing new vision, mission and values for the company because we'd had a change in management. And it was whilst I was doing that project that I realized I don't even know my own values. Here I am trying to help another company build theirs and I don't know mine. So it's knowing your values. It's really getting out of your head and into your body. I actually did a post in my social feeds today that, our bodies do give us messages, and although this might sound a little bit woo-woo for people, but our body gives us messages in terms of, are we feeling fatigued like I was a few weeks ago? What is your body telling you? How's it feeling? When I returned back to work post maternity leave, I just had this yearning feeling in my stomach that said, there's something else out there, And it's really just getting out of your head, not thinking about how you're going to do something, but really just looking at, okay, what do I want? What do I truly want? And, it's just following what your body's telling you and following what you're yearning for, really.
Oh, absolutely. And as you know, I'm a functional medicine nutritionist, so I've just qualified. And one of the
Yeah.
things that I truly, truly believe in, and I did that qualification to primarily help my family, and my daughter
Yes.
has an
Yep.
illness. And we've seen tremendous, absolutely tremendous results. And what you say about your body is capable of the most incredible healing and regeneration. And if we actually listen to it, what I've learned is it certainly does tell us messages. And so
Yeah.
much so, my 3-year-old the other morning woke up and she said, I need broccoli. I need to eat a lot of broccoli today. And knowing what broccoli does, so broccoli
Yeah.
and the green cruciferous vegetables are one of the key enablers in healing. And yeah, she listened to her body, and I was like, what a gift. What a gift.
Yeah.
If we could all do exactly what you're saying around listening to our values, listening to what our gut tells us, because that gut brain axis is real, and really leaning in to all of that, we're in a great place, aren't we? To
Yeah,
build our whole
absolutely.
potential of who we are.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's that final point there where I've got stop shooting all over
Yeah, I
yourself.
like that.
We just get so caught up in the shoulds. And one thing that I say to a lot of people is, when we say yes to something, we're saying no to something else. And the thing that you're saying no to might actually be something that is really important to you. But and again, it's just coming back to you and coming back to what's important to you, and owning that, and, realizing that you need that for your health and well-being.
And it's calling it out, isn't it? So when you hear yourself saying, I should do this, and in the context, so if we take the context of flexible work, I hear people all the time saying, I should be at work, or I should be doing this, or I should be doing that. And it's about saying, well, should you? Is that really, are we needing to change that narrative in our mind around, well, that is a belief, or that is something that I value. I value work, and I have a belief that I should not be leaving at 3 o'clock, when actually your contract says that, or you've negotiated that. And it's about tapping into saying, well, why? Why are you saying that should? Is it because your peers around you are making snide comments like, oh, you're on the early shift, or and it's about working through exactly what you said on your first slide around, well, what help or support do you need to help overcoming that? Because the shoulds, I think, are just so detrimental sometimes to those messages we tell ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're spot on with everything you just said. Yeah.
I love it. Stop shooting all over yourself.
Yeah. I do love that. That is a favourite saying of mine.
Yeah. And coaching these days, I think, is becoming more valued.
Yeah.
And so what you're saying here around aligning yourself and helping people work out what's important to them and living into their passion, that's something that you do in your business, and it helps your whole self, like you've got in this image.
Yes, it does. So this was something that I put together actually, which I sort of brought in very, very simple, but I thought, how can I depict what the self looks like? And I'm a big believer that, we are made up of mental, emotional and spiritual health. And don't know if anyone's seen the diagram around Ikigai, the Japanese framework for find your passion. And I thought that's such a perfect way that's drawn up to present what I believe the self to look like.
And I think we get many of us get confused, don't we, around spiritual. We often, when we hear the word spiritual, we think of religion, and they're actually quite distinct from my research and experience. What's if you take us through each of those from your...
Yeah. So look, I'll start off with physical health, because I know, when people come and see me to improve their health and well-being, it's all about, wanting to lose weight, wanting to eat better and move more. And I definitely don't discount that. But they're also, it's 1/4 of us. And so the physical, is about that. It's about moving more. It's about fueling your body, but also restoring your body as well. And, within that sits sleep. Whenever it comes to, deadlines or working on something, sleep is always the first thing that we forego. So I always talk about a lot the benefits of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
From a mental point of view, I really categorize that as, having a mindset of growth, having a mindset of opportunity, and setting meaningful goals, chasing a sense of accomplishment and achievement. And, that doesn't mean you go out and have to set a marathon goal, but it's, where could you find small tokens of, accomplishment in your day? And, perhaps from a work context, maybe it's, just setting mini tasks throughout the day, or mini goals throughout the day. It's also about tapping into your strengths and using your strengths more. So one of my top strength is curiosity. So I'm a bit of a learning nerd and love to talk to people and ask questions. But and so I find that I'm end up in that state of flow when I'm reading and talking to people and curious. And I know that just does wonders for my mental health. I also have to learn how to rein that in, which I'm working on as well, because I could learn forever. Then from an emotional perspective, I think a lot of this is really around relationships and building those meaningful relationships. So, we're listening to people mindfully, we're listening to them with curiosity. We're building compassion, having empathy, but also we're having, self-compassion as well. And we're, creating a network around us. We're hardwired to want to belong, or needing to belong to a tribe or a village. And so emotional health is, nurturing those relationships. And then from a spiritual perspective, I personally think it relates to, the positive emotions and coming back to practicing kindness, kindness for others, self-kindness, building gratitude. But also, having self-awareness as well, which is that whole thing around coming back to the body, coming back to the mind. What does it need? What do I need to be able to, feel well and thrive as I, want to be thriving?
Absolutely. And, flexibility helps all of this, I think, big time.
Yep.
I find, from a spiritual health perspective, often when I studied neuropsych, we found that so many people, most of us, are operating at our limbic brain. So it's that fear-centered focus. And once we really work, and spiritual health, meditation helps tremendously, where we can stop the clutter. And I know so many people who say, I just can't meditate. And like this morning for me, it was really difficult. I had all the thoughts rushing in, and it's about, how do you just gently tell them to, it's like little clouds, and I tell them to bounce away, to try and get that, it was just 5 minutes, but 5 minutes of a really still mind, which impacts all of those elements that you've got there. And I think for me, it's not about religion, which many people think it is, and it can be tied to it, but for me, it's about how do we really make that limbic system, that ancestral brain, quiet, so we can use our higher functioning brain, which it makes us human, doesn't it? It makes us so different to all of the other mammals.
Definitely.
Many of us aren't, even though we're functional and we're running around, we're not actually tapping into our best self because we're so noisy in our heads.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do they say? I think that,
I imagine, but
I think they say the average human has, 55,000 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And, most of that sits in our subconscious mind, and, we're not privy to what we're thinking or feeling, or what we're even in the moment.
Yeah. And well, that's why we have bias. So bias is there. So we know it makes us, otherwise we'd go crazy. If we have all of those thoughts rushing through our mind, all those senses, and we go absolutely mad. So we have evolved into a way where we've created biases, which are very helpful. They're also very hurtful and hinder us in many ways. But once, when we teach about unconscious bias, it actually comes back exactly to this point.
Yeah.
Because we need it. And, I often love the example that we give of, if you're looking for a red car, you're going to buy a red sports car, and you'd never seen a red sports car in your neighbourhood, and then all of a sudden you want to buy one, or you're looking for one, and you see 29 a day.
Yeah.
It's because your brain has now ranked that as a higher priority.
Yeah.
It's actually quite fascinating. Or I often hear women saying, oh, everyone's pregnant at the moment. I'm pregnant. Everyone's pregnant. They're like, what are you talking about? No, everywhere I go, people are pregnant. It's because their mind is now altered to a reality where they see what they want to see and they filter what they want to filter. It's I love the brain.
It's fascinating.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
really.
It is. Yeah, it's really fascinating. And what I love, in sharing, I guess, with something like this is that a little goes a long way. It's not about having to, when I talk to people about meditation or practicing mindfulness, it's not about adding something else to your to-do list. It's, maybe it's a minute. When I started meditating a few years ago, I was doing a minute in the morning, and that was hard. But it's like exercising your physical body. You need to exercise your brain the same way. It takes time.
Yeah, sure does. So here are your details. So tell us a little bit about your business.
Yes, so Be More Wellness Coaching. As I said, I'm very much about helping people, particularly people who have lost direction or lost ambition, feeling stressed, a bit burnt out and overwhelmed with where they are in life. I help them to gain that clarity and, create that vibrant life that they would love to have. And so I do various coaching, group coaching, one-on-one coaching, or speaking, and getting into a bit of workplace well-being as well, which is exciting.
Beautiful. And your details are here if people want to get.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you. It's been a great chat. I've loved learning more about you and more about your business. Thank you for joining us today.